features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's a very lazy afternoon here in South Africa. The wildebeest are still having their siesta. And this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
You are live. Good afternoon to all of you wonderful people who are watching the Sunset Safari on Safari Live this afternoon. We're sitting with a beautiful herd of wildebeest and it is exceptionally peaceful. You can see nothing seems to be bothering this herd very much at all. But it's great to have you, of course. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is the mighty great Sebastian. And we are hoping to find many more animals than we found this morning. We're in high spirits, and our first animal is a wildebeest. Now, if you have been watching the other mornings, it's taken us about half an hour to 45 minutes to find our first mammal. So we're on a roll today. But, of course, this is a live and interactive safari, so if you have any questions for us, hashtag Safari Live. And it's the only way to get hold of us on Twitter with anything. Questions, pictures, tell us how your day went, of course. Send us funny jokes. Please send us in funny jokes. And, well, hopefully we're going to find lots and lots of things. Let's take another look at those wildebeest. Now, we see this herd on a regular basis. We're quite lucky to actually see them, though it seems to have got a lot smaller since I last saw them. But perhaps from the other evening when there were lions walking all over the plains of quarantine and roaring their heads off and making a big noise, it did startle them slightly, and it wouldn't surprise me if maybe one of the lionesses made an attempt on the herd of wildebeest, and that's what's caused them to scatter. But a few of them have made their return and regrouped together. But like I said, definitely not the entire herd. But I'm not really too concerned about that. Even though wildebeest do bond and the females sort of stick together, I'm sure from time to time they do split up, especially in times of need and looking for better resources, or when you have a lion chasing you and you can't find your friends again. But eventually they'll regroup. But also, now the wind is picking up. Oh my goodness, I just said to you that it was still, and it has been still. And all of a sudden this gust is coming in from the west. I wonder if there's a cold front on its way. I hope not, but quite lovely nonetheless. But they do have siestas like this during the heat of the day, though it's not particularly warm anymore, as we are coming into winter, of course. Today is the coolest day I feel we've had so far. Normally, I'm still starting to perspire when we sit in the sun on the afternoon safaris, but I feel as though in the next hour, maybe hour and a half, we'll be putting on our jerseys a little bit earlier than what we normally do. So we might be in for a chilly evening. You guys, you're not getting ready to wake up just yet. It doesn't look like it, does it? Flapping their ears, swatting their tails, being bothered by the insects today. It seems as though this cooler weather is not keeping them at bay. Now, of course, it isn't just me out here on safari this afternoon. Ali and Craig are in the other car. They're in Rusty, and they have got some funny little warthogs.
We do have some funny little warthogs, so just as soon as the words live came into action, they decided to be shy, but they were quite curious looking at us. I wonder if they could hear the girls from FC all over from where they are. Hope everybody's doing very well on this fantastic sunset safari. My name is Ali, and I've got Craig on camera with me today, who's also very happy to say hello. And we are very happy to see that because the weather is so hot today, some of the animals are starting to move around a bit earlier. I think it took them a bit of a while this morning just to get a bit active. A whole family of warthog, a sounder of warthog, just moving around in the distance. They're normally shy creatures, so I'm not going to try to go a bit closer to them because we're just going to make them start running away from us. But by the looks of it, we've got a female with a bunch of little ones, and it seemed like there was also quite a big male around. You can see the tusks. They're all quite impressive. I think we're in presence of some old warthogs, judging by the size of their tusks. Let's just go like this, and maybe we'll be able to see those tusks again. Look how big they are. That is a very big boy, I think. Well, hello. So if you are wondering, this is where Pumbaa from The Lion King was inspired from, and I think Disney managed to do a very good job in just capturing the essence of it. Whoa, hello. I think this is the friendliest warthogs we've had so far. Very beautiful creatures, aren't they? Although here in South Africa, a lot of people believe that they have a face only a mother could love. I think they're quite endearing. I think it's almost like they've got wisdom somewhere around in between their eyebrows. To me, it's almost like when you see them, you're looking at an old sorcerer or something along those lines. It's just going to be able to tell you a lot of things. The one in front leading the rest of them is definitely the leader, and we can see all of them at the back just as it starts moving around. The little ones are a bit more nervous of us. It's the one that's been steadily coming to investigate what we're up to and what we're saying about them. So I think that's probably the female, the older female of the sounder, and maybe she's the mother of all the little youngsters that we've seen around, and the other middle one that we saw, it's probably an older sister. Are you gonna come around and say hello again? Do you see? Spectacular at this time of the year. The mane on top of their hair just allows them to blend in a bit more with all of the environment and everything around them, so it just resembles the grass, and it's a lot harder for any potential predator to see them when they go into these particular areas. Also, you see those beautiful tusks? Very, very deadly. They are a very good tool for them to, when they do not run away, if they need to defend themselves. So often you'll find if leopards are trying to hunt them or lions, they'll be quite wary of the tusks. Like I say, these tusks around here, the ones that we can see, they can do a lot of damage, but underneath this ones, they've got another set down here, and those ones are very, very sharp. Very similar to a hippo. When they open and close their mouths, that's when it gets sharpened. I think maybe these ones are gonna be quite friendly and cross the road in front of us. No, just being shy, taking an extra 5 minutes behind the lights. Well, hello, and you can just catch a glimpse of the bottom tusks of the jaw. Hello, girl. I think she is posing for us. Love Chewy, yes, very big tusks. They are quite impressive, aren't they? I think these are one of the biggest ones I've seen on a female in quite a while. Ah, there comes the rest of them crossing the road. And you see the little ones with all their tails. Oh, maybe we've got a male at the back. And all of them running around with their little tails perched up. They normally do this as, there we go. Oh, and there's a scrub hare. Well, that was quite an unexpected visit. We normally just see the scrub hares during the night because that's when they are more active. So they're not exactly like a bunny. They're nocturnal animals and they're a bit of a different species. But how incredible to see one in plain daylight. This doesn't happen all that often. I think maybe what happened is that the warthogs were walking through an area where it was hiding for the day, and then as soon as it felt the commotion all around it, it just ran across the road, and then, you know, that's their anti-predatory mechanism. They just stand very still and they don't move in the hopes that whatever it is that they think it's following them won't see them again. Well, this is quite nice. If you guys manage to get any screenshots, this will be quite interesting. Because normally, like I said, we only see them during the night, and it's quite rare to see them during the day. I'm sure they've got, there are a bunch of quarries and some like broken down trees with lots of spines and thorns, so I'm pretty sure that it's got, that's where it was hiding. Look at this. Okay. Too much. Well, that was a very good surprise, wasn't it? Just to see all of the warthogs around, and then the scrub hare. We're gonna see what else is No Expectation Afternoon has got in plan for us. So far, we're doing well. And let's go to Taylor, who I believe has got a wildebeest friend.
I reckon we are doing well this afternoon, Ellie. It seems as though you're in the lead with mammals. We've stuck with our wildebeest herd, who is still resting in the shade. Well, at least the girls and the youngsters are resting. However, the one that is standing up with his head hanging down low, that is the big bull. And it's very important that he does make sure that he keeps an eye out and protects his herd. Hey, big boy. But he doesn't look like he's focused too much just yet. He's still just watching around. But there isn't really much else on the plains today. Normally there's a herd of impala and lots of zebra. So perhaps that is why he is up and not resting, because he really does have to focus and make sure that nothing comes and sneaks up to them. Now, Labamba girl, you're wondering how old are these wildebeest when their horns start to turn? Well, let's have a look at some of these youngsters that are just sleeping off to the right of where the bull is, and we can just have a look at them because we sort of know their age. Now, this lot was born almost 6 months ago. It's about that time, round about now. So you can see, look how straight their horns are there. So normally a wildebeest, a young male, is evicted at about the age of 2 years old, and their horns have started to curve then. So I'm going to go and say anywhere between 1.5 years and 2 years old. That's sort of when you start to see the first turn in the horns of the wildebeest. But they're still very young, and we can monitor it. We can keep watching this as they start to get older, as long as, of course, this wildebeest herd decides to hang around on quarantines or the surrounding areas. But it would be quite nice to watch them grow, and I really do hope that the rest of this herd regroups, because they sort of had quite a presence up here on quarantine. It was the first thing that you noticed every time you came through the plains, that you would spot these enormous canoes, well, either grazing, or sometimes you'd see a large sand cloud coming from the open, and I'd often get quite excited thinking it was buffalo, but it wouldn't be buffalo. It would just be that large herd rolling around in the dust. And that would be quite nice for this afternoon, so maybe we'll come back here a little bit later, and hopefully they'll be a bit more active. Maybe we can try and do some silhouetted wildebeest shots. How do you say about that, big boy? Will you be keen to help us all out and do some wildebeest silhouette shots? So you need to walk near the western corner if possible, please, so that we can be down below you. That's going to be the plan. Whether or not the wildebeest are going to, well, accommodate us, I'm not so certain. Let's go see what else we can find. Now, I'm sure all of you are wondering, when is Taylor going to tell us about Shadow? She mentioned Shadow earlier on this morning on the Sunrise Safari with just 10 minutes to go, and she has not said one thing about that beautiful cat. Well, I'm going to tell you now. So I was chatting to Rexon, and he said it was quite difficult following her this morning. He was moving through a drainage system. Woo! I wanted to keep the stick, that's why I was actually looking for a stick the whole day, and look, one just jumped into the car. What a lucky day it's going to be, eh, Sebastian? I don't know where that just came from. Obviously kicked up off the tire. So Rexon was telling me that I should probably go and check around in the Shibambu Pans and then go and drive towards Treehouse Dam. And she was sort of in that drainage line through there. They couldn't follow her, unfortunately. But with these vehicles that we've got, they're a lot higher and they're also so much more compact. So we can do some more severe off-roading that larger vehicles can't necessarily do. And that's going to be our plan this afternoon. We're going to head there now, drive around, first do a quick loop around to see if we can see any tracks coming in and out. And if we don't see any tracks, then we know that she's most likely just settled down for the day. But Shadow also has a young cub. Well, from what we've last seen, things can obviously change in the bush. Unfortunately, young leopard cubs don't have the greatest survival rate. So and Shadow doesn't have the greatest track record either. But let's keep positive. Hopefully she can raise a cub successfully this time. So that's going to be the plan, is we're going to go there, and hopefully if she has moved around, there hasn't really been too many people driving out during the middle of the day, and her tracks will still be clear on the road. We'll go do that, and then we're going to find her, obviously, try and be optimistic here. We'll sit with her for the whole afternoon, unless she's sleeping. Then we'll come back later. But who knows? Maybe we get lucky. I think it would be a clever strategy if she hangs around in that drainage system between Treehouse and Shibamu, just because there's water around there. And we know that there aren't many big drainage systems that are holding a lot of water, so the animals will have to come down to those two spots to drink. And Treehouse Dam has always been a popular area for animals to quench their thirst. So if I were her, and this is my favorite thing, I love how we say if I was an animal, or those lions didn't successfully catch that buffalo because, like, we're experts in hunting buffalo and that type of thing. Obviously we're not. The animals are the experts. But I would just sit and wait, and I'm sure if she was patient enough, an impala or even a young kudu, young inexperienced kudu, and they've been quite curious at the moment. I've been watching them. They're always walking away from mom, which is quite dangerous, but it will be in, well, the positives for a hungry leopard. Maybe she can snatch something up for us this afternoon. So I just really hope that everything goes according to plan. Now, Mel from the US of A has said that shadow always seems to be in the drainage systems. You're quite correct. The sightings that I've had of shadow have actually not been in the drainage systems. Can you believe that? I think I've had a whole of 4 sightings of shadow over 9 months. I think I've been here now, maybe almost 10 months. And I suppose it's just one of those things. It's a good area to be in. It's not an uncommon area to find any leopards. Most of the leopard sightings I've actually had everywhere else have either been in riverbeds or smaller drainage systems like what we sort of have around here, and the one that sort of runs between Shibamu and Treehouse Dam. Again, coming into winter months in particular, because all the vegetation is the greenest, it's the sweetest around where water collects, and a drainage line is definitely an area that will have a higher water table than perhaps out in the middle of the open plains. So the animals will start concentrating around those areas. So it's a good spot. Also, if they're hunting in riverbeds, the sand is so nice and soft, they can move really quiet. Hang on. No, I've got leopard tracks here. Let me show you very quickly. She's moved. So I had female leopard tracks this morning coming from Sandy Patch from Sydney's dam. I wonder if it's not the same leopard. Look at this. Yeah? It's going to circle them so the other guides can see. This is a female leopard that's been moving around here. Now, Shadow hasn't got the biggest feet, so it's hard to say. It's also in the sand, but it's definitely from between game drives. So I'm just going to use my little leaf over here. This is the back of the pad there. There's the 3 little lobes, so that confirms that it's a cat. I can't see any claw marks in the ground, so that eliminates Cheetah. Cheetah cannot retract their claws. And then, of course, you can see the toes over here. So that's a leopard. It's too big to be, obviously, a caracal or a wildcat or a serval. And it's too small to be a lion track, and there wouldn't just be one little lion roaming around on its own. So that's a female leopard track, which means we need to turn around. We need to go onto Rebecca's. I'm just going to check here. The tracks are going here along this very faint animal pathway. So that's quite interesting. Okay. Look, also quickly, just triple check to see where she's come from. So here's another track here. This is what I love. I'm like a detective, really. Now we've just got to see how good my tracking skills is, don't we? Wonder where Ellie is now. Maybe she can come and help us. Right. Okay. Well, we're going to keep searching, of course. Good news that we have, of course, found some leopard footprints. Hopefully, we're on the right trail. Ali has found the bird that I normally start every safari with.
Yes, well, it's a good thing that, we found the birds for Taylor, because obviously if she finds them at every drive, then we might as well show them. Very happy that she managed to find some of the tracks. So we'll keep fingers crossed for her and holding thumbs and everything else so that she eventually manages to find this very elusive cat. In the meantime, we are enjoying the company of this. It's a red-billed hornbill, and then I think at the back we've got a yellow-billed hornbill by the looks of it. seems like they are all jumping around. I think it's 2 yellow-billed, and then at the bottom we had two red-billed, and then we had a yellow-billed moving around, which is it's not unusual for them to spend some time together with the hornbills of a different species. A lot of the times it's just a good way, just like impalas and and wildebeest will associate together, to keep an eye out and make sure that they can have more ears and eyes in terms of what predators there could potentially be around. I think at this particular time of the day, they're just busy having a clean of their feathers. So they seem to be getting rid of all the little ticks and things that could be around that are potentially bothering them. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe later on today they also came around. Oh, hello, is that itchy? They came around and started dust bathing just to get rid of all the little things, little parasites, little mites that might be on their plumage. And obviously their feathers is a very important part of their lifestyle. They wouldn't be able to fly and probably survive without them. So they've got to keep them very clean. Now, normally, and I'm hoping he will do this, they've got a gland at the bottom of their tail called the preening gland. And that gland, once it starts being stimulated, it produces an oil. And they normally use that oil and they put it on their feathers. I think, though, bath time is over. It seems like something caught its attention. Maybe we'll be able to witness a hornbill kill. It's jumping like a dinosaur. Did you find anything? They do jump around like toucans, don't they? Funny enough, for all the species of, toucans, of hornbills we've got around here, the genus is Tocus. So they actually believed to be, or they got their name, or they got classified into this particular family of trees. I'm just going to try to go slightly backwards, see if maybe we can have another look. Jess, and you were wondering what they sound like. So as I was saying, the genus is Tocus. And they got this particular name because of the noise that they make that sounds like tuk 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 tuk. So a lot of the times you can hear them making that noise, especially during the mornings. I will try to see if I can maybe play it in my app so that I can give you a better idea of what they sound like. Let's find it quickly. Red-bill and hornbill. Perfect. I'm going to try and play it and see if maybe you can hear it nicely. And that'll give you an idea. So you see, you can definitely hear the tuk 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 tuk. So almost like tuk 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 tuk. And that's why they got the name, and that's pretty much because of they sound like. Normally, when scientists and explorers have given animals names, or taxonomists have tried to classify them into a specific family or into a specific group, they try to be very descriptive with the name. So they'll give the genus, which is a broader family group, and the species a more specific family. They'll give a very characteristic names just so that it's easier then to find them, spot them, classify them, just to make our cataloging life a bit easier. I think in this case the red-billed hornbill flew away, and we've got the yellow-billed looking at us right now. I don't believe in the wild they would mate with, under normal circumstances, with red-bills. Normally nature prevents inbreeding and hybridization of different species, so a yellow-billed would only mate with a yellow-billed hornbill, and a red-bill would only mate with a red-billed hornbill. But because they are in a broader family, you'll see them associating together, but it's in most occasions it just represents an opportunity for them to be safe and keep more eyes out and maybe go onto hunting grounds together. I'm sure there could be cases in captivity where you've had a yellow-billed mating with a red-bill, but under normal circumstances that shouldn't happen. Or at least I've never seen it in the wild. I wonder if their beak would be orange. That would be quite quite a scenery. Richard, you'd like to know how many hornbill species we've got in Africa. Well, I can tell you in southern Africa, if I'm not mistaken, we've got about 9. But in this particular area, I think maybe around 4 or 5. I'll just double check in the book and then I will let you know. But we can actually count them. So we get around here the southern ground hornbill, which is a very, very big one. There we go. So we definitely get the southern ground hornbill around this one, but this is, you know, a bit of a different family, so maybe let's just not count this one. We get the trumpeter hornbill for sure. You see this very, very beautiful casque up here. That's where it gets the name and it makes a bit of a funnier noise. The grey hornbill, we get it here, and well, you guys have just been seeing the yellow-billed hornbill, so we definitely know that one's here. And then in terms of hornbills, we also get the crown hornbill. It's somewhat common, but we don't see it all that often. And then the southern red-billed hornbill. This is the last one we see. So how many is that? 5. 1, 2, 3. Yes, that is 5. Because unfortunately, you see all of these ones around here, the Bradsfield, the Monteros, and the Damara. These ones they only occur in areas that are a bit drier. Bradsfield, that occurs more towards the Caprivi Strip in Namibia, northern Namibia and Botswana. So we don't get to see those ones here, but you can see that they're all still pretty similar. It's just a bit of change in color and maybe the size of the beak and the casque that they've got on top there. But yeah, we've get a few of them around here. I think we've pretty much covered about 20% of the ones that we get here. So if we do see a grey one, I'll be very happy to show you guys because they're a bit different and they have a bit of a different call. We heard this one, they're tuk 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 tuk, and the grey and hornbill has more like a whistle. So let's see if maybe we can carry on along this road and find one. But in the meantime, let's see how the leopard mission is going on with Taylor.
We're still searching. I'm always still searching for leopards. It's actually quite ridiculous. Maybe today will be the day that we find one. But unfortunately, Ali, I haven't picked up on any more tracks. And, well, seeing as though you're not so far away from me, I was wondering if you could maybe give me a hand because there's nobody else searching at the moment. So, Megan, could you please ask Ali, once she's finished playing around at Twin Dams, if she wouldn't mind, if she could maybe check Treehouse Dam for me. Maybe those tracks double back on themselves a little bit further down the road and actually end up just going back the way she came. Because I'm here at the Balanites Junction. I know whenever Shadow has walked on the property, she often crosses through here. I'll never forget when I came for my interview, I went out on a drive in the morning with Jamie and we actually had shadow tracks around here we've been searching for, and she would come straight down the Balanites road. So that's exciting. I'm going to jump out again. I want to have a quick scan around here, and thank you, Megan, for passing that message on. Ali is going to help us. She's going to check Treehouse Dam. So that's quite exciting. Right, so let's just very carefully check here. Who's this? Now, the only problem when the animals actually walk around here on the sand is that sometimes it can be a little bit on the tricky side to actually tell what was here. There's still lots of those old lion tracks from the other day going up and down, but I don't see anything in particular that caught my eye like those leopard tracks caught my eye. So that's no good. That means that she must still be down that side unless she has crossed the road right in front of me and I missed her tracks. That's also, of course, a possibility. It's impossible to try and keep an eye out on all of these tracks. Okay, so nothing here. Let's go down the Balanites road though. Let's go see what's happening that way. Just to do a quick loop. And hopefully, as more guides start coming out, there will be a lot more activity, sort of doing the same thing as what we always do, and checking the dams. And if we can just do laps around this area, hopefully, as it starts to get cooler, if she has just sat down to have a little rest now, and then we will have opportunity to spot her. But I'm keeping my eyes open. Check here. Now, looking at leopard tracks, it's always quite a tricky one, and I wish that you were all here and I could give you a lesson right now, and you're standing in front of me and you could see it for yourself. I know you can see it through the camera. There's just something about being in that spot in the moment. And Jeff, you're wondering, how can you tell if they were female leopard tracks? Well, typically the male tracks, just as in male lion tracks, the tracks are much broader than the females. The female tracks are just sort of ever so slight and dainty, if you will, except for one. There's only one leopard I know where her tracks, so I always used to confuse everybody. It was a leopard by the name of Warthog Wallow, and she lived down in the southern sector of the Sabi Sands, around Sabi, Lion Sands, Kirkman's and Nottens, and that sort of area. She lived around there, and her tracks were quite big, but she was an exceptionally big female leopard. From the back, walking through the long grass, she looked like a male, like a young male. So if we find some male leopard tracks, then it'll be easier to compare, because maybe you can pull up a picture, a screenshot that someone has taken of a female. Oh, southern ground hornbills! It is our lucky day. Hi guys, I was talking about you this morning. I wanted to be you. I still want to be you for one day. Now I'm going to find one. Oh, there's two in the tree. Can you see them there? I'm just going to, there we go. How cool is that? I think it was the family of 5. No, stop hopping further away and out of our view. But yay! Southern ground hornbills. So if you were watching the sunrise safari and you were wondering what on earth was I talking about, that I wanted to be one of these birds, I don't think I need to explain myself any further. Look how enormous they are. They've got such a powerful beak, which they use to snap up all sorts of critters. And then they're also able to fly really, really well, as you saw there. Let's go forward. Now, they are a little bit nervous of the car, but I feel as though that is just birds for you. So we'll see if we can get another view of them. But very, very, very nice. One of our most endangered birds in Africa. Let's see. I've got them. Oh, there they are. Don't you dare hop off of that tree. You sit tight. Just trying to go a little bit further forward. There we go. We'll just sit in the shadows and try and hide away. But I don't know how long they'll hang around. Oh, that pesky branch. Look at the wind's blowing it other way. Yes, wind, blow the branch out of the shot. Sometimes the wind helps us. Let me see if I can go a bit forward. Obviously, we've got its head chopped off at the moment. Not on purpose, but sometimes these things just happen. I'm also keeping an eye out to see if I can see where the others have flown, because I don't want to startle them too much. But I feel like we're not really going to have much of an opportunity, are we? We've got a very obscured shot at the moment, but eventually they will move around and the rest will reveal themselves. Ah, there it goes. Just jumping out of frame. Linda, you were wondering, though, aren't these related to vultures? Can you believe that they're not? They're not related to vultures at all. They're related to the hornbill that you saw with Ali just a moment ago. Obviously, we get different species of hornbills. The 4 most common ones are the red-billed, the yellow-billed, the African grey, and then we're very fortunate to say that another common species is actually the southern ground hornbill. We get to see them on a number of different occasions. They've just flown to the next marula tree. I don't know where the rest of them are gone. I wonder if they've already gone across the road. Hey? Have you got a spot? Oh, and there's one on the ground. Another one flown off to the left. But we have got one up in the tree. Can we get that one that's hopping just up in the top of the marula? Because it's actually just exposed itself so nicely now. And can you believe it? Now, they spend most of their time down on the ground, and that's how they sort of forage, well, not even forage, they hunt. They go after big insects, they'll catch snakes, they'll catch mice. So I suppose I can't say forage, you're not picking berries. But from something that spends most of its time on the ground, they're quite elegant in the tree. I don't think I could hop from branch to branch just like that, especially when you've got massive wings like they do. Whew! And off they go. That was wonderful. Wasn't that why I'm so happy? You know, that's why this is not a job. I'm basically just going on safari every day, get to see cool things, sharing it with amazing people. Wonderful. Right. Well, these hornbills, now I've got severely distracted, have all flown away, so we won't bother them anymore. We won't go off-roading after them. We'll let them carry on with their day. Happy hunting. And Ali is helping us search for the leopard, of course. Let's go and see if she's had any luck at Treehouse Dam.
Well, we are still on our way towards Treehouse Dam. Unfortunately, we were quite far away, but we are making our way towards the area just to see if maybe we can help Taylor and see where Shadow has gone off to. It would be quite nice to see her, don't you guys think so? Hopefully we'll see, because we've had very sneaky leopard tracks all around this area, and I'm sure the lion in Suku, he spotted a leopard yesterday because his attitude was very strange. So I wonder if maybe we'll be able to see them. Hopefully we will. Like I said, we are still a bit far from the area where we need to check, but we are marching on our way. I think probably an extra 4 pairs of eyes are better than 4. Janet, you would like to know what my favorite animal to see on safari is. It changes. I normally prefer seeing animals that are active, so whoever's doing something, those are the animals that I like to see. Today, I would really like to see elephants, just because I think they're such fantastic creatures and I haven't seen a lot of them in the last few days. So I would definitely go for elephant. They're always up to something, especially if it's a herd with a lot of babies and they're moving around and their trunks are going all over because they don't know what to do with it. And you know, the young bulls with their ears open. Talking about young bulls, well, this one is not a young elephant bull, but it's still a bull. Let's see if maybe we can go around here through the bushes. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. I think it's just chosen a bit of a difficult spot. But we are trying to look at one of the prettiest antelope that we have in the area, the Nyala. And this is a male Nyala. Very big, and if you can see from the shape of the horns, just like the kudu and the bushbuck, they also have these beautiful spiral twisting horns. So these 3 species, the bushbuck, the Nyala that we're looking at, and the kudu, which is that very big grey one, they're all related. They're all in the same family, and their family is called the Tragelaphini family. And the name of the family comes precisely from the spiral twisting of the horns. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of the times when we choose to give animals a name or a description, normally we will combine Greek and Latin words to form, or the word for a very obvious characteristic for the family. And I think in this case, well, the horns of the males were a very good one. It's not rare to see the males on their own. Normally the females will be all together. We actually just drove past, or a little while ago, a herd. I think maybe 2 adults and a bunch of youngsters. But unfortunately they went behind some of the bushes, just like this bull is doing. So it wasn't easy to keep up with them, and they carried on going into the thicket. So unfortunately we lost them. But it's always a good reminder that wherever the girls are, there's a boy not too far behind, just lurking, waiting for an opportunity to maybe come and woo them. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. Are you being shy? I think he's more hungry than anything else. I think there's a bit of a change in behavior for some of the animals at this time of the year. Normally in winter, we will see them very early morning, late afternoon, feeding, moving around, because it's so hot during the day that they clearly don't want to move when it's way too hot. But now in winter that the temperature is a lot milder during the day and it's not as hot throughout the day, then we see them moving more often in between the daytime. Very nice and warm. And if you were watching the sunrise safari this morning, you can see that in the morning, the first hour or so was a bit slow because the animals were still warming up. But now that it's been steady and warm all day long, they are starting to come out. Speaking of coming out, we believe that Taylor has found some interesting looking creatures that you may have seen before in this drive, but they also want to say hello.
We have, Ali, we have found some warthogs, but I'm not so certain if it's the same group of warthogs that you got to see earlier. These lot, I can only imagine it'll be mom or two females and a whole lot of little ones just living about here. Now, it's obviously quite difficult, unfortunately, to see what's going on there due to the fact that the grass is so long here. But just from the warthog's posture, it looks like that they are having a grand time. Their heads are down, their little bottoms are wiggling in the air, so they must be munching on some delicious grass. And I actually am wondering if they don't live around here, because just up and to the left you can see some dead sticks that are just sort of protruding out of the ground. There we go. Now there's actually a little termite mound that dead tree is on, and I wonder if there aren't a couple of big burrows going down into there, and that might be the area that the warthogs are feeding at. Remember, they do live in burrows that are previously dug by hyenas, wild dogs, or an aardvark, and then they come through and they sort of alter them to suit their needs, and they move around regularly. But because the sun is going down so much quicker and it is starting to get cooler, these warthogs will disappear into their burrows a lot earlier than what they would have in the summer months. So they start making their way back to their homes before sunset, and they'll feed around those areas. Hello, little piggy. You are growing up very quickly, aren't you? Now, if you've ever wondered what a warthog feels like, it's not particularly smooth. I used to have a little warthog named Emma, and she's living her life out very happily on a farm with another warthog that got rescued. They've got very bristly hair, and I wouldn't like to touch that warthog that we're looking at now because it seems to be caked in mud too, and they can be quite smelly. They're not the cleanest creatures, and then their skin feels like, I don't even know how to describe their skin. It's sort of smooth, but then also not at the same time. But that hair does get very, very prickly, and it's like if you've ever touched an Irish wolfhound before, or a wide-haired terrier, that sort of feeling. But then, of course, the hair's just slightly thicker, so not as sort of fine hair as that, but very bristly as well. But they're quite nice, though. They're lovely little things. Very affectionate, too affectionate, in fact. Too naughty. Hi, little ones. I wonder how many are here. I can't count them all. And as we watch them, just like I said, just very difficult to seeing their bottoms move around. Jeff, you were wondering, what is the favorite food of warthogs? Well, Jeff, if a warthog had a choice as to what it could eat on demand, I think they would choose marulas. They absolutely love marulas, just as the elephants do, and will normally walk from marula tree to marula tree, searching for the golden deliciousness that comes from a marula fruit. It's so juicy, you can imagine it's lovely. The sounds that you hear when a warthog eats a marula fruit is quite impressive too. It sounds like my brother when he eats an ice cream. And at the moment, though, they love grass. That's their sort of their main diet, but they will feed on fruit when they can. So all the nice, short, delicious grass, they probably love couch grass, maybe Panicum maximum, and, well, anything really. They'll dig up the roots too. And especially at this time of the year, we'll start seeing the animals feeding a lot of the roots of the trees as the surface of the plant becomes a little bit more unpalatable. That's where they store all the nutrients. But how great is that? They really do disappear into this vegetation. Aussie Bonnie, you said that these pigs are gorgeous. They are indeed. Look, they're all huddling up now with Mom. I'm trying to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be naughty. Now, one thing they tell you not to do, do not stand up in your cars when you're on safari. I'm going to break that rule right now. One, she see me a little bit. You can see how she turned her head there. I just sort of stood up just a little bit. I didn't completely expose my silhouette. Sebastian is still much higher than what I am, but it is important. Remember to stay seated. Don't do that if an elephant is right next to your car or anywhere near you, or a lion or a leopard. Otherwise, that might be the last thing that you end up doing. But warthogs are okay. I just didn't want to scare them, so I did it very quietly and just made sure, like I said, I didn't break the silhouette. But they didn't seem to bother. I thought, though, standing up was going to allow me to see how many there are. It didn't, so that was an absolute failed attempt. I should have just stayed seated. But there's at least 5 of them there. I think there's 2 adults, and then the rest is sub-adult. Maybe even more, maybe 6 or 7 of them. I just see, as I say the number, I see more and more bottoms moving. Now, we've been so fortunate to watch these little ones grow up. Not this particular group or family of warthogs, but we have been seeing them from day one when they were just little sausages. And Mary Kay, you were saying that they are so cute. They are indeed. I think they have to be one of the most precious animals out in the bush. And we're very lucky to have actually seen so many of them make it to adulthood. As we were discussing earlier about leopard cubs not having the greatest survival rate, well, if you think a leopard's chances are cubs' chances are bad, try take something that is preyed upon by many different species. So little warthogs, unfortunately, don't always make it to adulthood, and it's not uncommon for a sow to completely lose all her little piglets. But they seem to be doing okay. Like I say, every day in the bush is good. Oh, her sort of mane looks a little bit like mine, don't you think? A bit bleached blonde on the top there. Quite nice, but this is all naturally from the sun. Bye-bye, girl. She's quite a big girl. We're going to move on now. We're still searching, of course, as we find all these other gorgeous animals, for the leopard. Ali has actually arrived at Tree House Dam, and hopefully there's a spotted cat lounging in the sun, waiting for you.
Unfortunately not a spotted cat in the sun, but a tree agama. Isn't this a very beautiful lizard? So this is a particular type of lizard that once it goes into breeding, then the head of the male, which I think this is what it is, it goes of a very, very dark blue color, very stunning blue color. I think it's just coming out of its breeding season now, so we can't really appreciate how bright the head is going to be, but you can see just how it's hanging on to dear life on the bark of this fantastic leadwood tree, just sunning itself. Very, very long creature. Look at the length of the tail, the fingers, well, rather the toes, and how well it's camouflaged against the tree. It was actually Craig who spotted it. I think Craig's got a knack for spotting things on the move, especially if they look like lizards or chameleons. And there he is, not moving, standing perfectly still, just soaking up the sun. Like you guys know, the reptiles, they need the heat to start gearing their metabolism up. They don't use the food like we do to create body heat, so they've got to absorb it from the environment that they're in. And this is why a lot of the time you'll see lizards, agamas, crocodiles just sunning themselves, just waiting for the energy that they absorb from the sun to start pretty much gearing up all of their metabolic processes. And I think it's a good spot. It's got a nice view. The dam is around here, so not too bad. Leonardo, well, a very tiny dinosaur, I can tell you, if you were wondering what dinosaur this is. It's, if I were to go next to it, which I'm not going to do because I'm afraid I'm going to spook it or chase it away if I come a bit closer to it, but it's roughly about the size of a human hand, a large hand. So it's a big lizard. It's called a tree agama, or the blue-headed tree agama. The females are normally of a brownish color, so more of the color that you see that this guy has on his body. And the head, once it goes into mating, it becomes of a very, very blue, dark blue color, very pretty, very striking. So when they start trying to attract the females, they'll hang on a tree like it's doing now, and then they start moving the head up and down, making a few funny noises to try and attract the females. So you see, at least when it comes to agamas, then it's the lizards that have got to do all the wooing. The males are the ones that gotta put their makeup on and then just start trying to get all the girls to come to them. But I think for now, it's just sunning and enjoying an afternoon. Sorry, Megan, I couldn't quite hear you. Lara, let's see if maybe I can get a bit closer just to give you guys an idea of how big it is. And I'm gonna try to maybe put my hand next to it. I'm just afraid that if I do, then I'm gonna chase it away. Let's see, maybe if I come from a distance, we'll be able to... Ah, it's already gone. Well, it was roughly about this big, I would say. Craig, do you agree? About the size of a hand. So not a fully grown adult. Obviously when they're born they're a lot smaller and then they start growing up, but I think this particular one has just now retreated into the hole in the tree. Sorry for disturbing you. And yeah, about the size of a hand. I think Taylor has managed to find some friends that were flying away, so let's go over to her and see if they want to say hello again.
We bumped into our dear friends the Hornbills again. They actually didn't fly too far away from where we were. They just went straight through the block and then landed on Philemon's cut line. Hello, birdies. Oh, their wind is just ruffling their feathers, but unfortunately they're still quite shy of us and they keep moving away, even though I creep up to them very, very quietly in the car. So I don't know how long this guy's going to hang around for, but hopefully it'll be long enough just to tell you all a little bit more about that. And it's gone. So funny. They always do this. Let's see if we can get it. That is so funny. Now, Jeff, you have got some great questions this afternoon. Thank you so much for sending them in. Jeff, you're wondering how did the southern ground hornbill get its name? I'm not sure. I wonder if it's just not because this particular hornbill species just spends so much time on the ground. Like I said, it does seem it forages quite a bit, though that's a trait of the hornbills. There they are, just in front of the road. Don't you run away. Hey, you, come back. Just very sneaky over there, just about to disappear off to the road. Maybe if we just sit here, it will come back out again and the rest will follow. So, Jeff, I'm actually not too sure about that. I have a bird book. I wish I had my big bird book, because that tells you where the names all originate, but maybe it has something in here. We can always have a look, but I shall keep searching. No, I don't think it's got where they come from in this one. Okay, well, that's a pity, but I'll look it up. I'll have a look in my book, and then I shall tell you tomorrow morning, Jeff. So make sure you watch the Sunrise Safari so that I can tell you exactly where it comes from. But prehistoric looking birds, don't you think? Oh, you know what I did see yesterday is I saw some hardy-dars flying off, and it was a silhouette of them. And it was so beautiful. They reminded me of pterodactyls soaring through the sky, well, from what I've seen in the movies, of course. Look at that, very dramatically just disappearing off the screen. Oh, no, there's another one coming out too. Okay, just in front of us. The same spot, so the others are sort of copying that one. Now, I can't quite see. I haven't had a good enough look at them. They haven't stood still for long enough to be able to identify which one's male, which one's female. But the female's got like a little blue patch on her throat. There's another one. And they don't have as much red. So I wonder if this one that's just walking away from us on the left is perhaps a female. And then on the right, maybe a male. I just saw he was exceptionally red. And that sort of loose skin around his face. I don't know if you would call it a wattle. I've forgotten the correct term there. But it's sort of much larger too. Come out of that grass. Look at them. Look at those massive feet. And we're going to go look at a hornbill track now too, because I haven't seen one in quite some time. Now, Bob, you're wondering, what do these hornbills eat? Well, Bob, they are carnivorous. So they will feast on grasshoppers. They will feast on chameleons and other reptiles, snakes. They'll even feast on small mammals. So chicks of birds. They will also snatch up anything really, anything that moves that they can catch. It's quite amazing to watch them run after something. And they sort of run through that long grass. It's really amazing, lifting those big legs off of the ground, and their wings sometimes open up too. Let's see if we can go and get a closer look. And they sort of stand there like this, pecking down on the ground, trying to catch something that they're looking for. But they'll go to big fallen trees. That's one of my favorite things to watch, is when they do go to a tree and then they start pulling bits of bark off of it, stripping it back, trying to find a scorpion or perhaps a lizard, like you just saw with Ali, that's, hiding away. Don't catch me, hornbill, don't catch me. And then, well, the hornbills are going to catch you. Then I'm going to go stealth mode again and try and roll them, but they are just walking up in front of us. But they move so quickly, and then as we look driving here, I'm going to look for a really nice hornbill track, but I think they're in the road. But there we go. One's got its head down in the grass. I wonder if it spotted anything. What did you see there? Nothing? Nothing in particular. But remember that massive grasshopper that we saw being devoured by a hornbill the other afternoon? Now, they would love something like that, and they'd be able to eat something of that size a lot easier than a yellow-billed or a red-billed hornbill would be able to. And it's a very clever technique that they use when they are out hunting, searching for potential prey. I love how they sort of flash through the grass, almost doing a very old-school army sweep. And they'll move through, and if something is flashed out to the left, then hopefully there's another hornbill waiting in anticipation and can snatch it up. So in their own way, they're like a food party too, but just of southern ground hornbills, because they, like I said, they just chase their food from one side to the other, and someone is bound to collect it. But they're very curious. I think they must be very intelligent. It always looks like there's a lot going on that they're trying to process. I think if the southern ground hornbill had to be a person, I would say that they'd be chartered accountants. I don't know, they always just look so serious. Sorry to all of those of you who are chartered accountants. Right, let's look at their footprint here. David, you said that they look evil. I quite agree with you. That's sort of what I was going for. Yes. Just trying to find a nice one, but these ones actually I think are going to be the best. Now I need to try and park. I'm going to jump out and be sneaky. I need to try and jump out just so I can actually show you what we're looking at. They've gone round the corner. Hopefully they won't see me. Ooh, come back here. Now it actually doesn't look like much. It looks like impala tracks. It's the funniest thing in the whole world. Let me get a little piece of grass over here. They actually just watch me. They're just on the other side of the hill, but I'm not too worried. They will eventually get used to us. Is this tracker right over here? Okay. That was a pathetic piece of grass that I chose. Let's use a stick. So this is the track here. Oh, they're calling. Can you hear that? No, it's not the one that's in the road that's making the noise. It's one of the others. But that's amazing. I can't believe they know I'm here. They know I'm out of the car and they haven't flown away. So that's really great to see that we're not affecting them too much. Wow. And as I stand here, I think I've also just found another leopard track, so I'm glad I got out the car where I did. They're getting louder. This is so cool. Good hornbills. Right, let me quickly show you the track very, very quickly. Have a look here. Actually, Sebastian, I'm going to change it up a bit. There's what I think is a leopard track as well. Let's use this one because you can see the claws. So this part over here, this is the back toe, and here we've got the other toes, 1, 2, 3, and if you look very carefully you can actually see the big nail as well. So they've got big claws, and just to give you an example how big it is, look at that, it's almost the length of my hand. Isn't that amazing? That is great. That is so great. We don't often get to see the hornbill tracks, so make sure that you have taken a couple of screenshots of that and hashtag Safari Live so we can all have a look at it a little bit later. This, it's hard to say because it's been disturbed as this hornbill walked over. It looks like it's a leopard track, but it also could be a monkey or a baboon footprint down the ground. Probably more a baboon footprint because there were a whole lot of their tracks here earlier this morning, so I'm not too certain. But let's jump in. I don't know why I'm collecting sticks today. You'd swear I was a buffalo weaver. Right, back in we go. Let's have a look at our hornbills. So I think I'm going to spend a bit more time with these hornbills. They're so fascinating, and normally they're quite limited views. Ali has got her binoculars out yet again. Let's go see what she spotted with her far lookers.
Well, I was hoping we were going to spot a spotted cat, but no such luck for now. The last reports that we had from some of the guides that were with Shadow this morning said that she was coming definitely in the direction of Treehouse Dam, which is the dam here that we're at, looking at this beautiful Egyptian geese. But it seems like maybe she decided to go somewhere else, so we're just gonna drive around here in the next few minutes or so and just also stay quietly, and maybe we can hear something. Maybe the Egyptian geese will help us and spot her for us. and we will see what's happening. For now, I think this is a very good view of very, very Pacific afternoon at a dam in the Greater Kruger National Park. Normally the Egyptian geese have taken over pretty much all of the water holes that are available pretty much anywhere, and they are starting to be considered as a pest by some because they're very territorial and they tend to chase other birds away and they claim water holes for their own. What is funny though is that normally when they start making their territorial calls, when they start flapping their wings and just making a lot of noise, it's normally the female, the one that starts the call, as a way of also bonding with the male. And then once she starts calling, almost like, you know, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, then that's when he replies and also starts making a bit of a racket. So, you know, would point towards the fact that maybe us girls are a bit louder, but I'm not too sure. See, I'm just trying to have a look through the binoculars. See if maybe we will manage to see something else around these trees. I wouldn't put it past Shadow to be just on top of one of these marulas. There's a very nice breeze coming through, so she could potentially be on top of one of them just looking around, like the ones that we're seeing over there. However, I think she's not too close to the dam, as there seem to be quite a few very relaxed animals all around. Ooh, let's see. I don't know if we've seen this bird before, and we won't see it now because it's just flown away. Sorry guys, I just need to go to the radio. Alright, sorted. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. We'll see. How do the guys survive if they get lost, Lizzie? Well, luckily, part of the training involves knowing what plants we can eat and what plants we cannot eat. And then if the stars do come out, then you learn how to use the Southern Cross to guide yourself back home. I've actually gotten lost once. We were actually looking for a very beautiful leopard. She's known as Scotia the female leopard when I used to work at Lion Sands. And she was leading us into probably one of the biggest, worst, most horrible blocks that there are. Lots of trees, very thick area, so eventually we lost her and we lost her away. So we were completely disoriented. It was nighttime, but luckily the good thing about that particular place was that the lodge was situated in the southern side of the reserve. And the southern boundary of the reserve was a river. So just by knowing the area, you can also just try to pretty much survive and find your way home. So what we did at one point was we just looked up, figured out using the Southern Cross how to find south, and then we followed that direction, and luckily we managed to find a road. We definitely did not come out on the road that I thought we were gonna come out on, but nonetheless we didn't get lost and we managed to find our way home. I think my guests were laughing. They just thought it was an incredible adventure, and here I was, me and my trucker looking at the stars, trying to figure out the way back, because we don't normally carry GPSs or anything. So you kind of rely on your knowledge of the area and the roads and your sense of direction. While we've been here though, there are very cool little gadgets that are able to just give you your general direction using a GPS system, so you don't need even cell phone signal. So a lot of us maybe have that as a security check, just in case you get very, very lost and you don't know where you are, and then you can just use that to find your way home. But I always feel like it's almost like cheating, so I'd rather do it the hard way. That's why when I first arrived here, I dragged Tristan to learn roads with me so that he could tell me where's north, where's south, where's east, which road leads to where. So I think it's been good the last few days, because obviously now me, Craig and Seb are the ones that are still busy learning all of the roads. I think, Craig, you know a few more roads than me. I think you're still winning. But it's fine, I'll get there. I'm not scared. In the meantime though, let's carry on looking for any tracks for Shadow, any proof that she might have been around here. It's been quite hot, so I'm pretty sure that at some point, if she hasn't come already for a drink, maybe she did come here for a drink. I know a lot of us are wondering, was she calling to attract a mate? Was she calling to try to find the cub? Was she just doing a territorial call? Is she moving in? So I'm sure we'll be able to answer all those questions once we manage to find it, which hopefully we will. But in the meantime, let's go over to Taylor and see how her search is doing in one of the nearby roads. Hopefully she'll have some tracks for us.
Sadly, we haven't had any more tracks yet, and our friends the Hornbills had decided to fly off. But I don't blame them. They gave us a beautiful sighting, especially for a southern ground hornbill sighting. That was quite a long one. So very nice of them. Maybe we'll see them a bit later. Perhaps they also heard about the silhouette challenge this afternoon on quarantine, and it seemed as though they were going that way. Now, I'm going to move out of the area just for a little bit as to where we saw Shadow's tracks. I haven't seen any more just yet, and the landowner of Djuma, Yuri, he actually just got hold of me on the radio and said he was just up at Buffelshoek Dam and there were some elephants that were swimming around there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to race on over down that way, because how great would it be on the Saturday afternoon to have elephants splashing about in some water? I'm sure none of you are going to object to that. And then once we've had a look there, hello waterbuck, just running across the road. Once we hopefully get down that side and find some elephants, and we'll do a big loop back again, and then we'll come back and have a look for Shadow. Maybe she comes out onto quarantine. Look at this beautiful fella. No, don't run away. You are so gorgeous. Now, he's not an old boy. He's gonna run right in front of the road, the car. Slow down, settle. We're not after you, I promise. A little bit uneasy now that the wind has picked up. Off you go, trotting along. Quite a youngster, probably only a couple of years old. There's a few of them all moving through here, a young bachelor herd, but they're not particularly happy at the moment. Like I said, the wind has now picked up, the scents are starting to swirl, so they will become a little bit uneasy. Chele Pan is just up ahead too, so we'll have a quick look at that and see if it has drawn any animals down to it to come and have a drink. And that giraffe that we saw this morning on the sunrise safari, he walked here too, which we could potentially bump into him. It's great today. What a wonderful afternoon so far. I'm ready to go back. What about you, Sebastian? Should we go home now, call it a day? Never. I'm obviously just being silly when I say that. Silly safaris. Okay. What road should we take? What's going to be the quickest route? I think we're going to have to go on some of the Nyala roads. Oh, look here. Now there's African green pigeons. I'm going to try and get them for you. Come, come, come. They've just sat. Let's see where they landed. They flew into the quarry. Okay, Sebastian, you see there's that dead branch that comes up? There's one just on the edge. I think you might actually be able to see it straight in the middle of your screen. There it is. Can you see it just over there? There we go. There it is. Just sitting behind the guarri leaves. So that is an African green pigeon. This could potentially be a new bird for your bird list, and if it is, let us know what number you are on. #SafariLive. It's always good to keep sort of tabs as to where everybody is with their birds, but they are lovely birds. Look at the beautiful colors that they have on them. I love their sort of reddish orange feet, and the cere on their beaks is also that same color with almost that yellow orbital ring around their eyes. And they always look like they're well fed. I don't know why, but they seem to be the plumpest of the pigeons and the doves. They always look well fed. But I think it's because of the food that they eat. It's got lots of sugar in. They love to feed on figs. That's their favorite. But unfortunately, there aren't too many fig trees around in this area. But when they go down south, they have to fight other African green pigeons, and as well as trumpeter hornbills and crowned hornbills for those delicious fruits. But up here, they'll be feeding on the fruits that this tree bears. One of the guarri trees. It bears a delicious fruit. There are lots of jackalberries, which are quite tasty too, and marulas, not so much. I don't think I've ever seen the African green pigeons pecking at marulas. Perhaps it's a little bit too tough for them, but you never quite know. Now there was another one, but I don't know where it's gone. I think it's gone further and further into the shrub, but that makes for a very, very pretty picture, the way that it has perched itself up there. Okay. Machine gun nest. You've said that this is number 91. I did hear that correctly, right, Sebastian? 91? 199. Wow, that is fantastic. Right, we need to then find you 200 for this afternoon. Machine gun nest, that's exactly what we're going to do. I don't know what bird it's going to be. Perhaps you haven't got one of the buntings on your list. Maybe you're missing a chugra. Who knows, but we'll see if we can get you to 200 this afternoon. Look at those lovely birds. I actually have, hang on, I've got feathers of an African green pigeon. While you look at them, I just need to start digging. And yes, come here. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. But where are all my green ones? Look at me. I'm a hoarder. I hoard everything. I have got feathers. Now, these, it's quite difficult to tell, but what actually gives it away that it's an African green pigeon is you've got to look very closely on the edge of the feather, and you can see there's a sort of a yellowish green stripe. Now, I picked these up on Arathusa one morning where they were sort of roosting up in the tree above me, and obviously they were preening themselves, and these feathers were no good. So I saw them on the floor. Actually, that's what I spotted first. I thought something had been killed on the road. Perhaps a little cat maybe snatched up a bird, and that wasn't the case. All I did was I tilted my head towards the sky and saw a whole lot of them, which is really cool. But how nice is that? Now you've seen the bird. You've got a close-up look at their feathers too. You can see why I wouldn't want that one. Look how damaged the tip of that feather is. It's not that good. Let's put them back in my book. I'm going to see if I can get another view of it. I'm going to pretend like I'm going this way. Now, Bombo Girl, you're wondering what is the difference between pigeons and doves? Well, this is actually a much better view. Look how nice this is now. Get ready. Here's a screensaver image for you. So screenshot all of these. I'd love to see them a little bit later this afternoon. I'm not actually too certain what the major difference is between pigeons and doves, because if you look at them, they look fairly similar, don't you? Trying to think what pigeons we get out here. It really is just the African green pigeon. We don't get the African olive pigeon or the Ramarin pigeon as it used to be called. I used to see a lot of those down in the Eastern Cape, but they're synonymous with the olive trees. They're always around them. So I suppose other than this one, it's quite hard to compare them to a turtle dove, to a laughing dove. Probably got to do with diet as well. I think, with particularly these pigeons and even the African olive pigeon, they also predominantly feed on fruit, whereas the doves out here, they seem to feed on seeds more than anything. So maybe it's got to do a couple of things. Maybe beak structure, slightly different because of the foods that they're feeding on, but I'm sure that there is a difference out there, and I'll just have to look it up for you. But that is beautiful. That is actually the best view, one of the best views that I've had of an African green pigeon, the Tarzan bird. Now, Jinlin, great question from you this afternoon. You've said, is the African green pigeon green because of what it eats? No, it isn't. But I can see why you would have guessed that, because if you think about flamingos, they'll often eat the little sort of krill and shrimps and things like that, and they gain that beautiful bright pink coloration to their feathers. But that's not the case here, because, and I can tell you why, otherwise they'd be a rainbow of colors. They would be deep purple from the guarri bush. They would also be then green from the figs that they're feeding on, be yellow from the jackalberry fruits. Or maybe they almost have some of those colors on them, but no, unfortunately it isn't. It's just the color of their plumage, of their beautiful feathers. They were lucky. They were definitely given, they were hit with the paintbrush hard, if you can say that. And if you look at it from this angle, it almost does look like it has a little bit of purple on the edge of its wings. Can you see that? That's incredible. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe their feathers are from the different types of fruit that they're feeding on. Are you going to do a call for us, please? That would be very nice if you could give your... Yeah, that's so true. Albeit, you've said that this is a very cooperative bird. You are most certainly right. I think it's probably saying thank you on behalf of the Southern Ground Hornbills for being so patient with them, because they were cooperative for a little bit, but normally as you all know, you either pick up a camera or you point the film camera at them and then they fly away. Do you know what? I'm going to be dangerous now. I've just seen a blue waxbill land on a buffalo thorn. Let's see if we can put it on screen. Sebastian, it's sitting just over here. I'll point it out to you. And when we get there, I hope it stays. Now I'm trying to look on the monitor. It's somewhere, I can't see as well. There's so much glare. It's up top, over there, somewhere over there. Just trying to point it out. Yes, there we go, you've got it. In the center of your screen, can you see it just jumping about?
Ah, yes.
There we go, look, a little blue waxbill, and it has a little piece of grass in its mouth too. This, I think, is the first time I've ever put a blue waxbill on screen. I've tried so hard to catch these guys, but they are so sneaky and just too quick. And off it goes. But there we go, we got a blue waxbill. That was nice, that was fantastic. All these birds around here this afternoon being really helpful and actually hanging around. Woohoo! Well, we're on an absolute roll. I'm going to still head back towards Buffelshoek Dam to look for those elephants. Ali's again got her binoculars out, scanning all over Djuma. I wonder what she's seen now.
We have managed to see one of the softest trees around here. So this particular tree behind me, I just want to gear this up so that I don't lose any piece of gear and I get shouted out later. This beautiful tree over here is one of the best trees to find. Like we were discussing earlier, if you get lost in the bush and you have to camp out, this tree over here, this is your savior. It's called the weeping wattle, and it is by far one of the softest trees out here. I mean, look at this. I can just put it against my face like a lion would do, and I'm very happy. It's very soft. It's almost like tiny little feathers on here. I don't know how to explain it, but very nice feel to it. And because it's so nice and soft, there are a couple of uses for them that people have, you know, come up with throughout the different centuries, particularly in the local cultures. So this tree is called the weeping wattle. So you guys are more than welcome to use the hashtag Safari Live and just give us any ideas if you know what this tree can be used for. I only know of 2 uses for this tree, just in terms of the softness. So if you guys find anything, once I get plugged back into the car, then we can discuss, see if any of you manage to find the correct answer. But another very interesting thing about this tree is now that everything's changing, so we see that the grass is becoming a bit more yellow, the leaves of the trees are starting to become a bit yellow and orangey and everything else. This is one of the few trees that will actually not go fully yellow. It will just be one of those wonderful evergreen trees, one of the ones that when you drive around you're like, oh nice, some green all along the road. So because of it, the leaves are maybe just a bit bitter. The elephants don't seem to like them too much, and they can get quite big, almost the size of a very big knobthorn. But a lot of the animals just don't eat them. They tend to eat them normally when they're little, and you'll see the elephants sometimes will chew them when, you know, they're about maybe this height. But when they get to this particular stage, I don't think there's much that actually comes and eats it. The other interesting thing is you're probably wondering about the name weeping wattle, and you know, why is the tree weeping? It's looking pretty happy to me, doesn't it? Well, there is a very small type of nymph, the nymph of the spittlebug, that when they come around here and they use their frontalicerae, or their, you know, fang-looking like appendages at the front of their mouth, they will start feeding on the sap. And as they do that, and when it's in summer, because they'll only come around in summer, it's so hot that they need to protect their body and their skin. So as soon as they're doing that, they're going to start spitting a lot of water, so it almost seems like the tree is weeping from all around. So this is why it's called the weeping wattle. It's just coming out of season now. It has very beautiful big yellow flowers, and a lot of trees love it. I think there was a study published recently, or a lot of people are commenting that it's a very good tree to attract bees. So if you want to help with the bee population in the world and you want to start you know, your own beehive, you are more than welcome to try and use one of these trees. I've heard that they are fantastic. I haven't tried it myself, unfortunately, quite allergic to bee stings, so while I respect them in the wild, I'd rather not have them around because, you know, I'd like to be alive. So very pretty tree. There is, however, a tree that's very similar, a type of Albizia and some species of Acacia that look very much like it. They almost feel as soft as this one, but if you turn the leaves around, you'll see little hook thorns there. So you definitely do not want to get it confused, because it could potentially hurt. I wouldn't have put my face against it if that was the case. Kathy and Cindy, yes, toilet paper. A lot of people use it as toilet paper, and it's more commonly known as the toilet paper bush, just because it is so soft. So all you have to do if you find yourself stranded in the bush is just grab a few ones. But also, and one of my trackers used to tell me that this was the best thing he ever did with it, a lot of the local communities, in particular the Shangans, they will go and chop it down and grab lots and lots and lots of leaves, and they use it for bedding, as a mattress for their bed. So it's also a very good, use. I just want to show you guys, we have one next to us that is the grown-up size version of this other tree that we saw, or that we've been seeing at, the weeping wattle. And just to give you guys an idea of just how big it is, let me just switch up this particular tree to our left. So you see it does get very, very big. And in some of the branches we can still see some of the pods. The pods are quite nutritious. They almost look like little earrings on the tree. Isn't that beautiful? I love those sky upward shots of trees. I wish I knew how to take them. And we see all of the little pods in some of the branches. And as they start dropping, a lot of animals will eat them. Pretty much all of the antelope species, a lot of elephants will come and eat them. Birds will wait until they open up and will eat the insides. Normally the pods are a very good source of protein for the different animals, so it's a very good nutritional supplement, especially during the winter time when, as you guys know, the food isn't as palatable, the grass isn't as palatable, and the leaves turn a bit bitter. So it's always good for the animals to have extra candy and extra things that they can feed on to be able to survive the harder, harsher months of the year. Very pretty tree, isn't it? And it's just, I wish I could explain just how soft it is. It's almost like down feathers. I think that's what it is, but very hairy. So it's almost like, what do you call this? Like, not Velcro. Very soft. I wish I could explain it, but hopefully one day we'll be able to have a virtual reality where you can just put your hand through the screen and just touch it. That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Just so that you guys all get the feel of what I'm saying. We've got lots of them around in Djuma. So normally we'll find them on the sides of the road, but especially if you go down also the main roads of the Sabi Sand, we'll see them all around. I think we are still trying to find Shadow. However, I'm not too sure where the last tracks were that Taylor had for her, if she did find any tracks this afternoon for her. So this is the road where she was spotted this morning. So I'm hoping we'll see something. If not, unfortunately, we'll have to move off the area, because no tracks, no idea where she is. Might be a good idea just to leave it for a little while and then come back later on in the evening when it's cooler, because then maybe she'll be calling or she'll be a bit more active. Alright, Taylor's saying that she circled the tracks not too far from here. Well, actually in the completely opposite direction. So we're gonna carry on down here and see if maybe we can find anything. I think she wasn't too far, and I'm sure she's the one that we heard when we were sitting at the hyena den this morning. So I'm sure she's still busy somewhere around that area. Maybe sitting down in a drainage line or somewhere around those lines. Let's just maybe do one last turn, just to say we gave it a good go. Sorry guys, let me just reverse, and then we'll see. Because yeah, the area where she was seen was definitely not too far from the hyena den. So I wonder if maybe she's going up there. Maybe she'll pop up in quarantine somewhere tonight. I think Shadow has a way of surprising all of us. So she does get the name because she's a very elusive cat. So I think it is funny, you know how the longer people track a certain animal, then they start getting their character a little bit, and then they pass on some of the information. and they all call them, Shadow, and they're like, oh, that one, you won't find her. So that's normally what the trackers and everyone think of her. Not because she's a bad leopard or anything, but just because she is very true to the inner leopard character and she's very hard to find. So a lot of the times, I fiercely believe that if a leopard doesn't want to be found, you will not find them. Which I think, is why Shadow has got the reputation that she's got. She's a particularly difficult leopard to find, but she is very, very stunning. And when we saw the cub, I last saw it, I think it was a girl actually. We last saw it on Easter weekend, or that's the last time I saw it. I think maybe it was seen again afterwards, but it was a very, very precious little cub. We actually, there's a little mongoose running around the road. I wonder if we're gonna be able to see more of this tiny little mongoose. I love it because now the grass is gonna be shorter, so we're gonna be able to see more of the smaller creatures. But while we carry on looking for these tracks of this particular very elusive cat, let's go to Taylor, who's managed to find something very, very big.
Not as big as what I'd like. I would have preferred to have found a whole herd of elephants swimming in Buffelshoek Dam. But we are here. We're at the dam, and our friends the hippos are still about. But now, I can only see two. Unless the others are underneath the water. We'll have to just wait and see. The elephants weren't here too long ago, though. And the reason why I know this is if I draw your attention away from the hippopotami, if you look here, just at the edge of the water, just down below, you can actually see, look how churned up the water is. Look at that. You can see the sort of froth, that white stuff on top of the water. There's lots of elephant dung down below on the edge of the water, so they were definitely here. And I don't think that those bubbles or whatever, that scum on the water maybe would be churned up like this if it was a few hours ago. So that's exciting. So now what we need to do is just try and figure out where they went. But something that is here, where the elephants once were, is a little 3-banded plover, very happily looking for little insects, and I can imagine it must be having an absolute feast at the edge of the water there, again because everything has been churned up, and also because of all the fresh elephant dung. All the insects will be attracted to that moisture. So as it goes through there, it might sort of sift through. It's not going for big insects, it's going for like little midges and things. You can see when it pecks against the water, we can't really see what it's going for. There must be a couple of little insects just sitting or getting stuck and dying on the surface of the water too. So it'll also take an opportunity and snatch them up. And that's the problem with water. Water is wonderful and we need it. It's essential for survival. But for small things like insects that get too close and they need to come down and perhaps quench their thirst, it's not uncommon for them to get trapped on the surface of the water. And if they don't sort of do backstroke, then unfortunately they're not going to find their way to the edge of the water and they'll just end up dying and becoming food for the blacksmith lapwings and also the little 3-banded plover. Hello hippos. There's the third one. Popped its head up. So it's still our same big boy on the right with his two lovely ladies. And I wonder if he's quite keen on this female because he's resting his head on her. So we might see some copulating hippos at some point today. Let me turn my game drive radio down very quickly. So I think, what do you think, Sebastian? Do you think we should do maybe Hippo Pools Road? Or are you thinking maybe we should go back towards the cut line and a little bit further north for these elephants? The decision is yours.
Why?
Yeah, I'm putting all the pressure on Sebastian's shoulders. No, I'm joking.
No, I don't know.
You don't know? Should we go and see where those tracks go?
Where are the tracks going?
Well, I can see their tracks are coming out just to the right on that sandy bank, so maybe that will give us some idea. We'll drive around to sort of where the Balanites tree is, and we'll have a look there. Maybe they're also dust bathing in that spot, and then we'll see where they go from there. Let's do that right now. Hippos, you guys are not doing anything exciting. You're not opening your mouths or splashing about, and you're not mating yet. We'll stop there, and if they do start doing some extraordinary things, then we'll have a look at them again. Now, as I try to reverse and not drive off of the edge of Buffels Dam, which wouldn't put it past me. Sorry, you quit. exactly the times that we're going on safari right now. So first thing in the morning, just before first light, and what do I want to say? Sunset. Sunset's quite nice. So this is actually a really nice time to come out. Everything is just sort of waking up if it's a predator, coming out of its sleepy day, and then they'll start to get onto the move. And then also most of the animals come down and have a drink. It's also a good spot to try and check the watering holes at this time. I don't see any elephant footprints here. I just see human tracks. That's not what we're looking for at all. Let me go back again. Let's just check if these elephants came up this way. You can see it looks like they were drawing in the sand. Look at this. Making pictures. I'm going to jump out so I can just quickly show you. So if you have a look, for instance, just over here, you can see all these sort of marks in the sand. Looks like a snake was laying here, but it's not from a snake, it's just from an elephant's trunk. And they would have been here scooping up the sand. It actually looks like they may have even kicked the ground a little bit to loosen the soil slightly, and then they would have thrown it straight over their backs. I wonder where they've gone. I can't see any more tracks. Oh, there's one. Let me just check this track. Maybe they're down that way. We did see all the elephant tracks coming up from a Nyala road north, coming to the dam. So let's go check down that way. I think that is going to be our best bet. And then if we are wrong, we'll have to come back and try again. So Ali and I have sort of switched roles now. Ali was dying to find some elephants and I was dying to see a leopard, but we've swapped and she is still searching for shadow. Hopefully she gets up and she starts moving and shows it, because she really put in quite a large amount of effort. Let's go back to her.
Well, we did manage to find Taylor's last tracks and some more tracks of shadow. Unfortunately, they seem to be heading into an area that's a bit thick. So I want to try going around onto another road that's on the other side of the drainage line, see if maybe she didn't pop out there somewhere, because you never know. It is common of leopards of doing so. But Craig and I thought that why not, maybe we would pop by again onto the hyena den, seeing we managed to see only a mother this afternoon. Have a quick scan, see if perhaps the cub is feeling a bit more playful this afternoon and will decide to reveal itself to us, which I'm really hoping it will do. But if not, then we're just gonna leave them with their wonderful home for the day. I think we are almost there. John, you'd like to know why leopard cubs have a higher mortality rate than lion cubs. I would assume that part of the reason why is because you will find often lions in a pride. So they'll have the protection of other pride members, other lionesses, and just in general more eyes watching after the cubs. Whereas a leopard mother is just on her own all the time. She's got nobody else to rely on but her own cub. Oh, well, you've got your head up. She's got nobody else to rely on other than herself, and you know, just the sheer good luck and the cub's instinct as they start becoming older, just to be able to defend themselves. So it's a good reason why it's they tend to die a bit more. However, in this area they've got a very nice success, I can say, of reaching adulthood. About I would say maybe about 60 to 80% of them do make it into adulthood, which is quite a good rate for animals just making it past the first years of life, which is normally the most critical one and the hardest one. Our hyena friend here, on the other hand, she seems not to have moved more than a few centimeters the whole day. I wonder if she went out for too long last night and this is why she's so tired. Maybe she even started walking around during the day and now she's exhausted again. Oh, hello! There's a tiny one to the left. To the right, sorry. Yay! hello. Tiny, tiny little cub. Oh, thank you for coming out. You see, when you've got no expectations, that's when good things happen. We were here this whole morning waiting for this little one to come and reveal itself, but it is finally out here with us. Isn't this wonderful? Oh,